In today's video, we'll be ranking all the Total Rome 2 mid-tiers on the tier list. The mid-tier units are most of the times the bulk of your army, so it's really crucial to know how strong every mid-tier is. I will be judging the units by how good they perform against other units, by their cost effectiveness, and by how risky the unit is to bring. So first off, we got the Kotari X-Men. It's a really decent unit, but I can't call it strong and definitely not god tier. Decent is the right place for it. Next up, we got this shitty Nubian unit of Mascot. CA, why did you make this unit? Just don't bring it. Next up, we got the Boya Sword Followers. A very strong unit. One of the best in the game. It's actually my favorite mid-tier unit, so it's definitely a god tier unit. With a high melee attack, high weapon damage, and high melee defense, it's just a great unit. And next up we got the regular Roman Legionary. Yeah, it's definitely stronger than a Carly. It's not strong, it's not the unit that you want to bring for Rome, but it's definitely decent, and it's more cost efficient than the Carly. Next up we got the Glacial Legionnaires, another really strong unit. People prefer the Glacial Legionnaires over the Sword Followers, but Sword Followers beat actually the Glacial Legionnaires, but these are like toe-to-toe units, both very strong and like nearly equal to each other. Next up, we got one of the least efficient units in the game, the Armenian Noble Hoplite. It's one of the shittiest units in the game, and it costs 850, and it's so bad. It really struggles to kill units, so it has to be at CA, bro. Fix this unit. Next up, we got the Chosen Swords of Icini. These are different than the Chosen Swords of Averni. They have a very nice charge. They are a very heavy mass unit. They deserve to be as strong. It's a definitely strong unit. High melee defense, not as high as the Chosen Swords, but still a very strong unit. Yeah, deserves to be as strong. Next up, we got the Painted Warriors of Icini, a decent unit. Where would I put it? I'll put it still at decent. Like, it's not lacking. It's only really risky. It got low armor, so it's vulnerable to missile fire, but in combat it's very strong, and it got the scare ability, so it should definitely be at the decent, but you know, a very risky unit to bring. Next up, we got the Veteran Spears of Boya. It's I mean, never bring this Veteran Spears if you got the Sword Followers. The Sword Followers are like 3 times better. I don't know why they made this unit if you got the Sword Followers, but alright. Yeah, it's lacking. It is stronger than these units. Next up, we got the Icini Ambushers. If you didn't know, they have 5 Pila volleys of very strong high damage peltas. So a very strong unit if you get the Pila off and if you can get in combat without getting shot. That's why I have to put it above the Painted Warriors. And it's also very useful to guerrilla deploy stuff like your towers in a siege, but I just can't put it like at strong or at god tier. Next up, we got the Kushite Shotels. I know a lot of you guys think that this is a really strong unit and that it belongs to god tier. In one-on-one combat, it's a strong unit, but it costs 890, so basically 900 cost unit, and it gets easily countered by Barbarian Infantry, and it can't belong to god tier. It's 75 armor, low health unit, so it gets destroyed by Pila and missile fire, but I will have to put it as strong behind the Chosens of Icini, because these are just more cost effective, for like 200 cost less. The Pontex Swordsman, a very controversial unit, I got to say. People think they are like nearly above 4x because they cost 80 less or 90 less than a 4x, and they can nearly beat a 4x. Actually, if you chevron them up once, they can beat a 4x or go toe to toe and still cost less, but it got low health, which you definitely don't want to have as a mid-tier unit. You can just front dump this unit and kill it very fast, so that's why it's at decent, but still above the more risky units. The Illyrian Hoplite, oof, it's one of the strongest hoplite for the cost. I don't talk about elite hoplites, I talk about mid-tier hoplites, but it's not a very strong unit. It got them expert charge defense, which is nice. I have to rank it at decent. 105 armor for a 640 cost unit is great, but it's not a great unit, that's for sure. Next up, we got the Mascot Marauders from Saba, a very strong and fun unit to play with. High charge, if you psycho charge them, they can get a ton of kills. Only 65 armor, so it's a little bit low on the armor side, but it's still a very strong unit. I have to rate it under the Cardleys, but definitely a unit you want to bring as Saba. The same counts for the Gallo-Suffration Infantry. Very strong unit, high charge. It's nearly like the Mascot Marauders, also 65 armor, only it doesn't have an X. Like, you could rate them nearly the same, but there's no reason to bring the Gallo-Frasians for Titus if you got the Tribal Warriors. Next up, we got the Illyrian Marines. So these are like Furrier Spear units. 5 Pila rounds, very strong unit. I'm a really fan of the Furrier Spear units with 5 Pila rounds, so this is why I have to put it as strong. It's a really nice unit. It can do a lot of damage in combat. The only part of it has pretty low armor. It got 65 armor, but it's still a very nice unit to have. High charge, etc. Next up, we got the Guerrilla Swords of Arivachi. It's a nice guerrilla unit, but it's not better than the Icini's Guerrilla Swordsman. It's also not stronger than the Icini painted ones, so I think right here is where it belongs. Next up, we got the Melcilian Furrier Spears, even better than the Illyrian Furrier Spears, much better. Decent armor, like 75, that's like average armor, pretty nice for a 560 cost unit. 30 charge bonus, which is mental, and you got 5 Pila volleys, which is great. One of my favorite units also. Same thing with my favorite Agima Spear. High charge bonus, 28 charge bonus, even more armor, 85 armor, expert for charge defense, square formation, everything what you need to have, 5 Pila volleys. And this unit really belongs to God tier, because this Agima can take out the Glacial Legionnaire if it Pilas first and then go into combat. Trust me. Alright, next up we got the Scootari. Scootari, very fun unit to use. Can be risky with the 65 armor, but it's definitely a strong unit. It's less riskier than the Gallophrasian unit, I would say. Still a very nice unit, and for Arivachi is way more useful than for Tylus. High melee defense, everything what you really need. And it can beat the 4X, and it deals a lot of damage against barbarian factions, so a very nice unit to have. Next up we got the Kokin Nobles. The Kokin Nobles is an interesting unit. It is strong, but it also costs 980, which is basically 1000. Is it really cost effective? I wouldn't say so, but you could bring this unit as Caucus, but it's not the greatest unit. I will have to put it up here. Yeah, I think that's the right place. It could also be placed up here, but for now I'll put it up here. Next up we got the Arivachi Scare unit. I forgot the name of this unit, but it's up here for sure. It has the same function as the Painted Warriors of Icini. It's around that quality. I would rate it under the Painted Warriors of Icini. That's a nice place. Also Scare unit, very effective. Next up we got the Leopard Warriors of Kush, CA. I don't have to say more. Night Hunters of Swabi. Got Guerrilla deployed, so a very useful unit for Swabi, but it's really bad in combat. That's why I have to put it at lacking. It's a useful unit, but yeah, I must put it at lacking. It's really shit in combat. I should have actually put it at CA, but because it has Guerrilla, I have to put it up here. Next up we got the Axis of Armenia and Caucus. Lacking 640, basically for an armored hillman. It's just bad. It's really bad. CA made a mistake with that one, I must say. Braunshield Pikeman. Braunshield Pikeman is one of the better pikemen in the game, also for cost effectiveness. That's why I have to put it at decent. I still do not advise you to bring pikemen, but yeah, I have to put it at decent. It's a decent pike unit, but it should be at the bottom of decent. The Arivachi Chosen Swords. High melee defense, very interesting unit. I have to rate them above the Icini Chosen Swords. The Arivachi ones beat also the Icini one in one-on-one combat. The Icini Chosen Swords can probably be more useful because of the high charge and higher mass, but it's a close one between these two. Like, it's a small difference. Next up we got the Pontex Swordsman. This is the base unit which you compare everything to. It's above all these units. It's not a bad unit. It's just not great, for sure, like all the barb units, etc. But yeah, definitely under the Legionnaires, but still a very decent unit. Naked Spears of Nervy. Fun unit to use, but it's not great. I'll have to put the X-Warriors also above because they got Pila. The Veterans got also Pila, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, the Naked Spears of Nervy are a fun unit to use. High charge, high melee defense, but again, low armor, very risky unit to use, so yeah, lacking. Veteran Hoplites, a very fun and great unit. I would say it's not more cost effective than the Kokin Nobles because it doesn't have expert charge defense. The basic Furious Spears, I got to put them up here, above the Illyrian Furious Spears for sure. I will have to actually put the Scootari up here. Nearly the same as the Melcilian Furious Spears, but lower charge bonus. A very fun unit. Woodnest Spears, I think it's the strongest spear unit in the game, so that's why it has to be a decent. I think the Woodnest Spear belongs over here, and they also got Pila. The 4X Hoplites. The 4X Hoplites can beat the 4X in combat, but they don't have Pila, etc. And they have to be in Hoplite wall to beat them. So it's a less versatile unit, and that's why I have to put them under the 4X, but they're close to each other for sure. The Libyan Infantry of Carthage is a better 4X Swordsman unit. Nearly the same, but higher damage output. Spear War of Swabi. I see a lot of people bring them because they think, oh, they got a high melee defense. And especially in Spear War, they got like 100 etc. melee defense, which is crazy. But can they kill anything? No, they literally can't kill shit. So that's why I have to put them up here. And it also hasn't got the highest armor, so yeah, definitely belongs over here. The Night Hunter at the bottom, I would say. The Samnite Warriors, a very strong unit. High charge, high armor, 95 armor. Very versatile unit, no shoot wall, but that's fine. It has a high mass anyway. Yeah, just a really strong unit. I have to put it above the Chosens. Very safe, strong meter unit. Next up we got the Veteran Shields. So the Veteran Shields, they should be above all the low armored units because they're really strong mid-tier. Like, they can beat Tribal Warriors, which is the most cost-effective mid-tier in the game. It's just really risky. You don't have a lot of armor, you can die really fast. But it belongs over here. For sure, it's definitely a decent unit. The cohorts of Mascot. So these are interesting. It's a strong unit. I have to put it as strong. Is it really cost effective? Nah. The Legionnaires of Mascot are more cost effective. That's why I have to put them up there. If you had to choose to bring one of them, I would definitely bring the Legionnaires. But the cohorts can definitely be a nice supplement to your army. Now we got the Eagle cohort. So the cohorts of Mascot are basically a bad version of the Eagle cohort. That's why I have to put it up here, the Eagle cohort. But you don't want to bring that unit as Rome. But for Mascot, it's fine. Get the heavy spears, lacking. No, Nah, actually shit. War of Warriors of Swabi. It has Scare like all these units, and that's why I have to put it at the bottom. The Melcilian Hoplite. I'm really not a fan of these. People like them, I just don't see the potential in them. I would rather put them up here somewhere, but it's alright over here, but it costs 920 and it's just not good. It doesn't have even expert charge defense. In contrary, the Armored Desert Hoplites are a really strong hoplite unit. High charge bonus, 30 charge bonus, the best weapon damage for a hoplite unit, which is 30, and overall a really strong unit, also in the hoplite wall, so this one definitely belongs in the strong category, behind the cohort, but then the Shoto needs to move down to behind the Armored Desert Hoplite. It also got 90 armor, which is very nice. The African Pikeman of Carthage. It's a pikeman. It's not the greatest pikeman, it's alright, but pikes are just not the meta anymore. Noble Swords of Nabataea. Oh my god, what a bad unit. I wanna put them at CA, and I will put them at CA. It has Encourage, but it has no Pila, 45 armor, which is really low for a mid-tier unit. It just doesn't perform well in combat. The late Carthaginian Hoplite. I have to put this one at lacking. I will put it above the Veteran Spears of Boya. Next up we got the Fierce Swords of Nervy. I will have to rate them at decent, near the Scare units and the low armored cost-effective unit, but really risky. I'll have to probably rank them up here, behind the Veteran Warriors of Stony. The Parthian Swords are nearly as the 4X, but they are worse. They got lower melee attack and lower health, which is really bad, and this makes them even less cost-effective than the Carly Axemen. The regular Hoplite needs to be near the late Carthaginian Hoplite, but I would rank them behind the late Carthaginian Hoplite. Ooh, there we go. We got the Evocati cohort, God tier. Is this at the top of the God tier? 100%. High armor, high melee attack, good weapon damage, everything you basically want. Only the charge is not as high as the bar factions, but man, this is such a cost effective unit. I have it at the top of God tier. The Desert Heavy Spearmen. It's a fun unit to use, I would say, because it looks interesting, but it's not that great. I would have to rate him under the Noble Swords even. Now we got the regular Pikeman. The regular Pikeman is, I would say, even more cost effective than the African Pikeman, because it costs 100 less. So yeah, that's why it's at the top of lacking. The Mercenary Leopard Warriors are worse than the Kushites, so definitely at CA. The Berserkers. Oof. I would have to rate them near the other Scare units. Fun unit to use, but really risky. The 4X Pikeman is a very nice unit. It got high armor, and that's why it should belong at decent behind the Braunshield Pikeman. The Legionary cohort, higher armor than the regular Legionaries, also a little bit better stats, so they will have to be up here, and better than the Mascot Legionnaires, so yeah, over here it's a nice place for them. The Samnite Warriors of Rome, basically. These are a shitter version of the Samnite. I don't want to put them directly under them, because I'm really not a fan of them, so I will have to put them under the Chosens, I think, yeah. The Triarii of Rome. Interesting unit, but nah, up here. They cost 790 and they're just not great. The Marib Spearmen. I would rate them more cost effective than the Nabataean heavy spears, but still a shit unit. I've tried them a couple times. They're fun and challenging to use, but they're just not great. Especially if you got the Mascot Marauders. The Spartan Hoplites. Definitely one of the better hoplites, but still lacking. The Veteran Legionnaires. I would say they're God tier for sure. Yeah, above the Agimas. I would have to rate them even above the Sword Followers and the Glacial Legionnaires. This is the mid-tier Pike of Sparta. I would have to rate them under the Pikemen. A decent Pikeman, but just not worth it. The Spearwomen of Swabi. Shit. CA, thanks for the DLC. The stats of the Etruscan hoplites seem interesting, but they're still not the greatest. 750, not the cheapest, so they're lacking. First cohort, you definitely do not want to bring this unit as Rome. This is a tricky one. Where would I rank it? It's a strong unit, but it's also not that cost efficient. I would have to rate them at the bottom of strong. The Furio's hoplites. So these are not the Furious Spears, but these are Furio's hoplites. A scam. I know a lot of people accidentally bring this unit because they think it's a Furious Spear, but it's not. It's garbage. Tribal Warriors, God tier. They beat the Sword Followers and they beat the Legionaries in combat. People often say the Sword Followers and the Glacial Legionnaires have higher and faster damage output, which is true, but the Tribal Warriors are just so safe. 95 armor, high melee defense, and they just survive and kill slowly. That's why I have to put it up there. The Skilled Forks Hoplites. Also not a great unit. I like the looks of the units, but that doesn't mean they're good. CA, make them better, come on. These are the normal hoplites of Carthage. I would rate them also near here. Not a great unit, definitely don't want to bring that. The Sumerian hoplites are also not great. They cost 530, but they're still shit, but they can do their job. So that's why I have to put them up here. The Icini Chosen Spirit, dog shit, they're just not worth talking about. The Lucha Stony Spear Warriors are also not a great unit, they deserve to be at CA, and they're just not great. The Nabataean Heavy Pikeman, it's an alright Pikeman, it can do its job, but I will have to rate it up here. And last but not least, we got the Armored Legionnaires, a very good looking, very strong, high armored unit, very tanky, a nice melee defense for Roman units, and it belongs to God mode. I would still have to rate them under the Veterans and the Evocati, because those are just more cost effective. If you want to rank all the Rome 2 mid tiers yourself, I have a link in the description, and that will lead to this tier list maker. And yeah, if you want to rank them yourself, go try it out, and send me through Discord what you made of the tier list. I'm curious to see, and let me know in the comments if you agree with this tier list. I'm curious what you guys think of this. And I would now suggest you to watch these army columns videos for 4 different factions. And I will see you guys there. Bye bye.